Welcome to Temple Baptist Church, our devotional time again. We are just enjoying being with you for a few minutes each day, or with each one doing these devotionals. We're going to look at Hebrews chapter 4, and we're going to look at verses 15 and 16. And while you're finding that, we're also going to look at the story in 1 Kings chapter 17 about Elijah and the widow and her son. And I think that story would be familiar to us. Has there ever been a time in your life when you felt like the bottom had just dropped out? This woman here in 1 Kings chapter 17, this widow, she's there by no choosing of her own. It's all because of the drought, and she's the famine, and she's preparing a last meal for her and her son. And then Elijah comes along, and he tells her, to take and go ahead and use that bread, that flour, and that oil. And of course, the oil and the flour never run out and all that. But then it wasn't just a little while longer that her son, in verse 17, this happened after these things, that the son of the woman who owned the house became sick, and his sickness was so serious that there was no breath left in him. Pretty serious, wouldn't it? Be considered pretty seriously. And then she asked the question in verse 18, I think, and so she said to Elijah, "What have I to do with you, O man of God? What do I have to do with you? Have you come to me to bring my sins to remembrance, or to kill my son?" Now, here it is. The bottom was about to fall out, and Elijah comes along. God blesses, and then now her son has become ill to death, and so she asked the question, what have you come here for? Did you come to remind me of my sins and kill me? I think at times we want to respond the very same way that this widow responded, wondering if God is punishing us for something. And, we forget that bad things can happen in this fallen world, don't we? We forget that bad things are going to happen, bad things are going to come along. And so we do that. And, Elijah took concerning to God, he took this thing to God concerning God, and he prayed about it, and he earnestly prayed for the boy, and God raised him up. Well, when the bottom drops out with us, may we, like Elijah, may we constantly be faithful in our desire that God does not desert us. In Hebrews chapter 4 and verses 15 and 16, "For we do not have a high priest who cannot sympathize with our weakness, but was in all points tempted as we are, yet without sin. Let us therefore come boldly to the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in times of need." If you think the bottom has dropped out, just remember that we have a high priest, that he cannot sympathize with our weakness, but was in all points tempted as we are, yet without sin. Let us therefore come boldly to him. We can, he won't desert us. We can rest in God's purpose, and as we pray for understanding. We may feel like the bottom has dropped out, but God is still in control. We invite you to our services at 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock on Sunday morning, 6 o'clock Sunday night, 7 o'clock on Wednesday, our prayer meeting and Bible study. And just may the good Lord bless you.